For decades, owning farmland in America felt like a luxury reserved for generational farmers and billionaires. From the rolling prairies of Iowa to the fertile valleys of California, productive agricultural land commanded prices that locked out everyone except those already deeply rooted in the industry. But in 2025, a quiet transformation is reshaping America's farmland market. While Midwest cropland now pushes past $12,000 an acre, and coastal agricultural land has become virtually untouchable, an entirely different reality exists in 10 overlooked states, places where you can still buy productive farmland for less than the cost of a used pickup truck per acre. Bill Gates didn't become America's largest private farmland owner by accident. He now controls over 248,000 acres across 17 states. Institutional investors have poured billions into agricultural real estate, and the USDA reports farmland has delivered average annual returns of 10.2% since 1991, with lower volatility than the stock market. The question isn't whether farmland is a smart investment, it's whether you know where to find it before prices catch up. This is FinEco Insider, and today we're counting down the top 10 cheapest states to buy farmland property in America, ranked by price per acre, with all the data you need to separate genuine opportunity from hidden disaster. Stick around for number 1, because what's unfolding in America's most affordable farmland markets could reshape your investment strategy for years to come. And if you want more data-driven deep dives into real estate and economic opportunities, hit subscribe now, and let's get into it. Number 10, Mississippi. Mississippi's agricultural legacy runs as deep as the river that shares its name. The Delta region, a crescent of impossibly rich alluvial soil stretching from Memphis to Vicksburg, has produced cotton, soybeans, and rice for generations. Catfish farming turned the state into America's undisputed leader in aquaculture, a $260 million industry built on flooded fields and warm southern water. But here's the opportunity most investors miss. Average farmland in Mississippi runs just $3,580 per acre, nearly 40% below the national average of $5,830 for cropland. Turnkey irrigated Delta farmland sells between $5,000 and $7,000 an acre, while pastureland averages $3,220. Compare that to Illinois at $10,000 plus, or Iowa pushing $12,500, and the value proposition becomes undeniable. The underlying math is straightforward. Irrigated cropland here generates rental returns of roughly $178 per acre annually. Dryland runs about $141. That's a 3% cash yield before appreciation, competitive with dividend stocks but backed by a tangible, productive asset. For investors seeking income-generating farmland without Midwest price tags, Mississippi offers Delta fertility at discount prices. The trade-off? Population decline in rural counties and limited appreciation compared to faster-growing states. But for cash flow-focused buyers, the numbers tell a compelling story. Number 9, Kansas. Kansas is the heartland made literal. Endless wheat fields rippling under prairie wind, cattle operations stretching to every horizon, a state so synonymous with American agriculture that Dorothy's Farm became the cultural touchstone for an entire nation's rural identity. But by 2025, Kansas farmland tells two very different stories. Statewide averages sit at $3,100 per acre, well below the Corn Belt giants to the east. Yet that number masks dramatic regional variation. Premium eastern Kansas cropland near Kansas City commands $8,000 plus per acre. Meanwhile, western Kansas dryland, the same soil that produces a quarter of America's wheat, sells for as little as $1,050 to $2,100 per acre in counties like Decatur, Norton, and Gove. The state has delivered 57.4% appreciation over 5 years, the strongest performance among affordable farmland states. But that growth is now stabilizing as commodity prices moderate, and one critical factor weighs on western land values: the Ogallala Aquifer. This massive underground reservoir supports $35 billion in annual agricultural production across 8 states. The problem? Water is being pumped 10 times faster than natural recharge. In southwest Kansas, some areas have less than 25 years of irrigation capacity remaining. Senior water rights now command 30 to 40% premiums over land without verified well access. For Kansas, the verdict is nuanced. Eastern counties offer appreciation potential. Western dryland offers value, but only if you understand the water equation before you buy. Number 8. The Texas Panhandle. The Texas Panhandle represents America's last frontier of truly cheap agricultural land in a major state. While Austin and Dallas have become some of the nation's most expensive real estate markets, the Panhandle operates in an entirely different economic universe, one where farmland sells for 40 to 50% below statewide averages. Panhandle agricultural land averages just $1,831 to $1,890 per acre. In the right counties, you'll find productive grazing land and dryland farms for under $1,500. Texas as a whole averages $2,970 per acre, with pasture land at $2,260, still remarkably affordable compared to coastal states. But here's the catch that separates informed investors from everyone else. A 2025 University of Texas study projects that up to 70% of the Panhandle's agricultural land could become unusable within 20 years at current pumping rates. The Ogallala Aquifer, the same formation threatening western Kansas, is declining even faster in Texas, where right of capture laws allow unlimited pumping with no coordinated management. 30% of Kansas Ogallala wells have already run dry. Texas is next. The opportunity exists for investors who understand the risk. Dryland cattle operations and non-irrigated farming can remain viable, regardless of aquifer conditions. But anyone paying a premium for irrigated Panhandle cropland is essentially betting against hydrology. And the hydrology isn't bluffing. Due diligence here isn't optional, it's existential. Verify well logs, pumping history, aquifer thickness, and what your neighbors are extracting before committing capital. Number 7. South Dakota. South Dakota has quietly become one of America's most investor-friendly agricultural states, a place where no state income tax, productivity-based property assessment, and surprisingly affordable farmland converge into a compelling opportunity for retirees and investors alike. The state average sits at $2,970 per acre. But like Kansas, geography creates dramatic price variation. East of the Missouri River, near Sioux Falls and the corn-rich counties bordering Minnesota and Iowa, prime cropland commands $11,000 to $14,000 per acre. West River tells a completely different story. Ranch country in Perkins, Hawken, and Meade counties offers quality grazing land for $1,500 to $2,500 per acre, some of America's best cattle country at a fraction of Midwest prices. The numbers behind this state's appeal are striking. South Dakota farmland has appreciated 44.2% over 5 years, the strongest performance in the northern plains. No state income tax means agricultural income flows directly to your pocket, and property taxes are assessed on agricultural productivity rather than speculative market value. For retirees seeking rural property with tax advantages, or investors targeting appreciation in an underfollowed market, South Dakota's West River region deserves serious attention. The growing season is short, winters are harsh, but the economics are sound, and the state isn't making more Missouri River ranch land. If you're finding this breakdown valuable, take 2 seconds to hit subscribe to FinEco Insider. We tell you the truth about real estate markets, not the sales pitch. Your subscription helps us keep producing data-driven content that protects your investment decisions. Now let's continue with number 6. Number 6. Oklahoma. Oklahoma's agricultural diversity makes it one of America's most versatile farmland markets. Cattle ranching dominates the western plains. Wheat stretches across the Panhandle. Cotton and pecans thrive in the south. And unlike single-crop states vulnerable to commodity price swings, Oklahoma offers multiple revenue streams on the same property, including some of the country's strongest hunting lease income. Farmland here averages $2,540 per acre statewide, but regional variation creates opportunity. The Panhandle, dry, remote, and far from major population centers, offers land for $1,300 to $1,500 per acre. Southwest Oklahoma runs around $1,960. Even the more expensive Northeast region stays under $3,600. The state has seen 33.7% appreciation over 5 years, driven partly by Texas buyers seeking affordable alternatives and partly by growing institutional interest in hunting and recreational properties. Oklahoma also offers programs most states don't. The state's Veteran or Young Farmer Grant provides up to $10,000 through the Department of Agriculture. Tulsa Remote will pay remote workers $10,000 to relocate, cash that can offset a farmland down payment. Farm diversification grants support value-added agricultural operations. The trade-off is weather volatility. Oklahoma sits squarely in Tornado Alley, and drought cycles can stress both crops and cattle. Insurance costs reflect that reality. But for investors seeking affordable land with diversification potential and state-level incentive programs, Oklahoma delivers genuine value. Number 5. North Dakota. North Dakota represents the paradox of American farmland, a state with some of the most productive soil on Earth, yet prices that remain accessible compared to neighboring Minnesota and the premium Corn Belt markets to the south. Average farmland here runs $2,360 per acre. Cropland averages $2,710, less than a quarter of what comparable land costs in Iowa. Pasture land sits at just $1,140 per acre, among the lowest in the nation for quality grazing ground. The state has delivered 36.4% appreciation over 5 years, while remaining significantly cheaper than its regional peers. North Dakota produces hard red spring wheat, durum wheat, sunflowers, and increasingly corn and soybeans as climate patterns shift growing conditions northward. But here's what sophisticated investors understand about North Dakota. The state's sparse population, fewer than 800,000 residents in a territory larger than New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut combined, creates both challenges and opportunities. Rural infrastructure can be limited. Healthcare access requires planning. But competition for land is correspondingly lower, and generational farms change hands without the bidding wars common in Iowa or Illinois. For investors willing to manage remoteness, North Dakota offers productive agricultural land at prices that would seem impossibly cheap one state to the south. The climate is unforgiving. The winters are legendary. But the soil doesn't lie, and neither does the price differential. Number 4. Montana. Montana's landscape defies easy description. A state where the Rocky Mountains give way to endless prairie, where cattle ranches measure in sections rather than acres, and where the phrase, "big sky country," understates the scale of everything from horizons to opportunities. Average farmland here sits at just $1,230 per acre. Dryland cropland, suitable for wheat, barley, and pulse crops, averages an almost unbelievable $1,050 per acre. Even irrigated land, the premium tier, runs just $2,700. For context, Montana ranks second nationally in wheat production, harvesting 217.7 million bushels annually. But Montana's appeal extends beyond row crops. The state's eastern plains, Phillips, Valley, Garfield, and Macomb counties, offer ranch land for $500 to $800 per acre. These properties often include significant hunting and recreational value, adding revenue streams that pure agricultural analysis misses. Trophy elk, mule deer, and upland bird hunting can generate $10,000 to $50,000 annually in lease income on the right property. Montana has appreciated 45% for irrigated land over 5 years, with dryland and ranch properties following similar trajectories. The state also offers a beginning farmer loan program with tax-exempt bond financing, one of the strongest entry-level incentives in the country. The trade-off is accessibility. These prices exist precisely because eastern Montana is remote. Temperatures plunge to negative 20 degrees in winter. The nearest major city might be 3 hours away. But for investors and retirees seeking genuine land ownership at historic value, Montana delivers scale and price that simply don't exist elsewhere. Number 3. Nevada. Nevada's presence on a farmland list might seem counterintuitive. This is America's driest state, a landscape defined by sagebrush desert and mountain ranges, rather than amber waves of grain. Yet Nevada offers agricultural opportunities that most investors never consider, and prices that reflect geographic challenges while creating genuine value for the right buyer. Average farmland here runs $1,200 per acre statewide. Pasture land, primarily used for cattle grazing, averages just $850. Even cropland, limited to irrigated valleys, sits at $3,030, still half what comparable irrigated land costs in California. The agricultural reality is this: Nevada supports roughly 3,000 ranching operations, primarily beef cattle utilizing vast acreages of high desert rangeland. Water rights, attached to specific properties and protected under prior appropriation law, can be more valuable than the land itself. Alfalfa production in irrigated valleys serves both local cattle operations and export markets. Nevada has appreciated 14.3% over 5 years, modest compared to faster-growing states, but starting from a much lower base. No state income tax joins the appeal, mirroring the advantages found in Wyoming and South Dakota. The consideration is straightforward. Nevada farmland requires water. Land without water rights has severely limited agricultural value. But for investors who understand the state's allocation system and target properties with established rights, Nevada offers entry points that coastal buyers abandoned decades ago. The desert isn't going anywhere. Neither is the value proposition. Number 2. Wyoming. Wyoming is America's cowboy state made manifest, a place where ranches measure in thousands of acres, where the average farm spans 2,726 acres, and where agricultural tradition runs as deep as the mineral wealth beneath the surface. Average farmland here sits at just $1,000 per acre, the second cheapest in America. Pasture land averages $755, while cropland runs $2,000. For context, that means you could purchase 100 acres of Wyoming ranch land for roughly the cost of a single acre in suburban California. But Wyoming's appeal extends far beyond price. No state income tax, no corporate income tax. Property taxes assessed at agricultural productive value rather than speculative market worth. Wyoming consistently ranks among America's most tax-friendly states for landowners, retirees, and investors alike. The state's agriculture centers on what the land does best. Cattle and calves generate $1.12 billion annually. Hay production, essential for overwintering livestock, adds another $297 million. Wyoming ranks second nationally in wool production. These aren't speculative ventures. They're proven agricultural systems refined over a century of operation. The trade-off is climate. Growing seasons run just 80 to 110 days depending on elevation. Winters test both livestock and landowners. But for investors seeking tax-advantaged land ownership with genuine productive capacity, Wyoming offers something increasingly rare in American real estate: true value backed by tangible agricultural output. The state has appreciated 19.6% over 5 years. Modest but steady, just like the cattle operations that define it. Number 1. New Mexico. At the very bottom of America's farmland price ladder sits New Mexico, the land of enchantment, where average agricultural land sells for just $725 per acre. That's not a typo. $725. Less than a monthly car payment for an acre of American soil. To put this in perspective, the national average for farm real estate stands at $4,350 per acre. Iowa cropland exceeds $12,000. California agricultural land, when you can find it, commands 5 figures easily. New Mexico offers entry points 83% below the national average. Cropland here runs $2,020 per acre where irrigation exists. Pasture land, the vast majority of agricultural land in the state, averages just $630. In eastern plains counties like Curry, Torrance, Roosevelt, and Quay, you'll find productive ranch land selling for $500 per acre or less. The state's agriculture tells a story most investors don't know. New Mexico produces 39% of its agricultural receipts from dairy, massive operations in the eastern counties that rank among America's largest. Beef cattle add another 37%. Chili peppers, a crop New Mexico dominates like no other state, account for 20% of national production. This isn't empty desert. It's working agricultural land with proven economic output. But here's the critical consideration. New Mexico operates under pure prior appropriation water law. Every drop of water in the state is publicly owned and already allocated. New water permits are essentially unavailable in most regions. Land without verified, transferable water rights has severely limited agricultural potential. The opportunity exists for investors who understand the system. Properties with senior water rights, those established earliest under New Mexico law, hold value that transcends land prices. Dryland ranching and grazing operations remain viable regardless of irrigation access. And for retirees seeking affordable rural property with genuine agricultural character, New Mexico's combination of climate, culture, and cost creates something found nowhere else in America. Property taxes range from 0.48% to 0.85%, depending on county, with agricultural land assessed on productive value. The state offers no income tax on Social Security benefits. And while the landscape demands adaptation, the price point demands attention. At $725 per acre, New Mexico isn't just America's cheapest farmland. It's a category of its own. Proof that opportunity still exists for those willing to look beyond the obvious markets. And across the country, something bigger is unfolding. A quiet transformation is reshaping who owns American farmland and where value can still be found. For the first time in decades, individual investors and retirees have the upper hand in overlooked markets. While institutional money floods the Corn Belt and coastal properties price out everyone except hedge funds, 10 states offer entry points that would have seemed impossible a generation ago. From New Mexico at $725 per acre to Mississippi's Delta at $3,580, the affordable farmland map has been redrawn. Investors chased appreciation in overheated markets. Institutions targeted premium cropland. Wall Street built farmland REITs around established ag regions. And they left behind 10 states where patience, research, and reasonable capital can still acquire productive American soil. Some of these markets will appreciate. Others will remain niche plays suited to specific strategies. But the lesson is universal. Value exists where attention doesn't. And in American farmland, attention remains fixed on all the wrong places. You've been watching Fineco Insider, your source for data-driven analysis of opportunities others overlook. If this breakdown opened your eyes, hit subscribe, tap that notification bell, and share this video with anyone considering farmland investment. Because what we're seeing in America's cheapest agricultural markets today is just the beginning. And as always, the numbers tell the story.